Why is the armed forces of the Philippines don't need aircraft carrier despite of the dispute on the South China Sea? Let's talk about that issue, and please stay tuned on Watch to Learn channel. This channel will help you widen your knowledge. Sorry for delay. I'm just carried away by that sweet tone. For today's video I will reveal the reasons why the armed forces of the Philippines don't need aircraft carrier despite of the territory dispute on the West Philippine Sea. The most shocking reason is the last one, so make sure to watch the full video, don't skip any reason until the end. And before I continue, can you promise me that if my reason have a basis you will subscribe to my channel? And since you agreed, let's start! The first reason why armed forces of the Philippines don't need an aircraft carrier regarding on the issue on West Philippine Sea is that, the combat role of the aircraft carrier. An aircraft carrier is a warship that serves as a seagoing airbase, equipped with a full-length flight deck and facilities for carrying, arming, deploying, and recovering aircraft. It allows a naval force to project air power worldwide without depending on local bases. Having an aircraft carrier allows any country to conduct a long-range air operations, and in short it serves as a moving military seagoing air base to roam around the world, ready to react and take any action. But in the case on West Philippine Sea, the dispute territory like the Bajo de Masinloc is just around 120 nautical miles away from the mainland of Luzon. Therefore, plane can fly from local air base to the dispute territory without needing an aircraft carrier. The second reason why armed forces of the Philippines don't need aircraft carrier is the cost of one aircraft carrier. One aircraft carrier like in the Nimitz class have a price tag of $9.55 billion as of 2019 pricing, equal to 119 units of F-35 Lightning II. So I think the alternative is, instead of buying one aircraft carrier, the amount of that budget can buy 2 units of destroyer that cost around $2.5 billion in total, 1 unit of submarine that costs around $2.8 billion, 3 units of frigate like in Jose Rizal class of Philippine Navy that cost around $1 billion in total, 1 unit of B-2 Spirit stealth bomber that cost around $1.4 billion, and 10 units of fighter jet like the F-35 Lightning II that cost around $800 million in total. So, which do you think the armed forces of the Philippines need most? The aircraft carrier or all the asset I mentioned earlier? Comment it down below. But, let's take a look if the Philippines manage the issue on budget and get one of it. Still, another reason will occur why AFP don't need it. And that reason is, aircraft carriers do not operate alone. Carriers typically deploy as part of a carrier strike group that includes multiple guided missile warships, equipped with the Aegis combat system. Aegis is the most advanced air and missile defense system in the world, capable of defeating every potential overhead threat including ballistic missiles. It is linked to other offensive and defensive systems on board, surface combatants that can defeat submarines, surface ships and floating mines, or attack enemy sensors needed to guide attacking missiles. In combination with the carrier air wing, these warships can quickly degrade enemy systems used to track the strike group. Carrier strike groups often include one or more stealthy attack subs capable of defeating undersea and surface threats. Navy tactics maximize survivability. Although most aircraft carriers are protected by the most potent, multi-layered defensive shield ever conceived, they do not take chances when deploying near potential adversaries. Their operational tactics have evolved to minimize risk while still delivering the offensive punch that is their main reason for existing. For instance, a carrier will generally not operate in areas where mines might have been laid until the area has been thoroughly cleared. The will tend to stay in the open ocean rather than entering confined areas where approaching threats are hard to sort out from other local traffic. It will keep moving to complicate the targeting challenge for enemies. It will also use links to other joint assets from the seabed to low Earth orbit to achieve detailed situational awareness. Aircraft carrier is the flagship of the fleet. So having an aircraft carrier without enough asset to defend the $9.5 billion floating city is a move anyone should think over time. It means that if Philippines plan to have an aircraft carrier, they should have first had at least a cruiser, destroyer, frigate, corvette, submarine and a defense system and other air assets. And speaking of the air assets, the last reason I see why armed forces of the Philippines don't need an aircraft carrier is that there is a lack of combat aircraft that can board on aircraft carrier. According to the inventory of the AFP, there are only 49 combat aircraft active in armed forces of the Philippines, and most of the active combat aircraft of the AFP is commissioned on Philippine Air Force. This concludes that this type of plane are the conventional one, which it can only take off and land in a long runway, not capable of short takeoff and landing or vertical takeoff and landing. And the shocking truth is that Philippine Navy have no combat aircraft. It means that if the armed forces of the Philippines commissioned an aircraft carrier to the Philippine Navy, there is no combat aircraft will land on it. That's the last reason that complete our list of why Philippines don't need aircraft carrier. Is there any reason that you think armed forces of the Philippines don't need an aircraft carrier right now? Share it on the comment section. And before we take our journey in separate, I'm asking you a favor to share this video on social media platform like Facebook and others. Your action for sharing this video have a big impact on my growth and make me motivated to create more interesting topics. If you're not a subscriber to this channel, subscribe now, cause every week I upload at least one video. Thank you for watching. Check my other videos in the description below. I'm glad if you watched another video of mine.